part of my takeover. Thank you to Kentucky Sports Radio and Matt for letting us host today. We're going to get back to the phone lines, but we first have a very special guest. It is your starting quarterback for Kentucky, Will Levis. Will, are you there?
Levis.
We know how to pronounce names. Levis. We've also heard Levis, but Levis was what Shannon said, so that's what I'm going off of. Will, how do you pronounce your last name? First question.
Levis.
Damn, PFT, apologize.
Owned.
All good.
Will, what's up, man? It's been, I feel like we've needed to have you on the show on Pardon My Take for forever, and this worked out perfectly that you can call into Kentucky Sports Radio. How are you feeling? How's everything going? You're the number one pick in Mel Kiper's next year's mock draft. What are the vibes, as we've learned from Harvey?
No, well, first I got to say thanks so much for having me, and I've been able to meet and talk to a lot of really, really cool people, but being an AWL and a fan of you guys for so long, I've never been so jacked just to talk to somebody. I actually met Tom Brady, one of my idols, last week, and I'm just as nervous talking to you guys as I was to him, which is kind of funny.
You're doing great,
it's going really, really well right now. We're all back on campus working out, and it's been good to see the guys and get things going. And, yeah, seeing all the mock drafts is pretty cool. As PFT said, we know historically that all those are 100% accurate, so that's pretty cool to kind of have that kind of in the back pocket now. But, no, I mean, it's a lot of cool kind of energy right now and vibes, but you kind of just got to put all that outside noise behind you and just focus on the main thing. And the main thing right now is just working with the dudes.
Yeah, I mean, you're totally correct. Sam Howell, he was ranked number one in the first mock draft that came out. We all saw how this actual draft went. He was the best quarterback in the entire draft. He happened to get taken in the fifth round. But, yeah, you're number one right now. And I think it's safe to say that we're throwing our support behind you, Will. How has your nutrition been going this offseason? Because I've been a fan of yours. It's funny you say you're nervous talking to us. I'm nervous talking to you because as a big-time mayo boy myself, I like putting mayo in everything. I put mayo in my eggnog. I put mayo in my mac and cheese. You changed the game, though. You put mayo in your coffee. And I'm curious to know, like, have there been any pushback on your diet this offseason? Are you incorporating mayo into any other meals?
So, yeah, I made sure to talk down and sit with my nutrition and make a plan for this offseason to how I want to go through with my eating habits. And we've made sure to kind of find a plan that allows me to have mayo in my diet as frequently as I can while taking sacrifices elsewhere. So I can continue with that, which is really good. Going to continue to put that on all sandwiches I have and the occasional cup of coffee as well. But I do think it's a staple of where it has gotten to me as far as I have so far with my body and my physical performance. So it's worked so far, and I'm gonna keep doing it.
I love that. Built by Mayo, Will Levis. That's a nice tag for you. I do think that mayo gets a bad rap a lot of times. Like, people like to thumb their nose at mayo and be like, oh, it's the worst condiment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. I think that mayo is one of the, like, if you don't like mayo on a turkey sandwich, you're a psychopath.
Yeah, and it's like people that say that too, it's like, isn't like all aioli technically mayo too? And like all these like fancy people trying to say like, oh, I got this aioli for my side or whatever. I'm like, dude, it's fancy mayo. Like, don't call it anything more than what it is. Like, it's delicious stuff, and people should just accept that.
Yeah, that's a Matt Jones word for mayo.
It's when he's in the south of France all summer. No, mayo is someone decided online that mayo was bad, and then it just went like from there. It's kind of like the same person who decided like avocados are the greatest thing online, and then it went from there. It just starts with one person, and then we get to a point where people are shaming mayo. It's like, mayo on a sandwich is good.
It's undeniably good.
Absolutely good. If you don't like it, if you want to call us Mayo Boys, we proudly stand as Mayo Boys.
Undeniably a top 3 condiment. So versatile. And it's just people against Big Mayo, but I'm going to stand behind the movement and stay strong with my position on the subject.
Now, what about the bananas? So have you been eating bananas? You went viral for that. I honestly can't tell if you're a psycho or you're really good at trolling the internet, which I guess you could just be both. But are you still eating bananas with the entire peel on?
Yeah, I'd say I'm definitely a little bit of both. Definitely a psycho. I think anyone close to me can tell you that. But, yeah, when that all came out, it was pretty crazy. And just to tell the story real quick, I mean, I put on my TikTok a video of me just eating like a completely brown banana and just eating it whole, peel and all. Didn't think much of it. And then when I got the starting job last year, I think some fan tried to like troll me on Twitter and was like, "This is your starting quarterback, like going and doing this like nonsense." And it actually backfired him and got me a lot more good press than anything, which was pretty funny. Seeing the guys on SEC Network on SEC Game Day or whatever, Feinbaum and Tebow eating bananas with the peels on, it's kind of like I'm over here. It's kind of like, what have I done? So it's just kind of a crazy little thing that's happened, and I definitely from time to time do still eat the bananas with the peel on.
That makes it even better, by the way. The fact that you weren't like the starting quarterback when you did it. You weren't looking for attention. I mean, you were making a TikTok, but you were truly eating the banana, and someone found it after the fact. Damn, I'm even more Team Will Levis now. Kentucky's going to go SEC championship. You thinking maybe SEC championship this year?
That's the goal. That's what our hearts are set on, and that's what what's been established from day one of the off season. And I mean, listening to Harvey call in earlier, I mean, the fans who say that we're not going to be as good as last year, or that we're lacking the leadership from a senior standpoint, I'm definitely going to be stepping in and making sure that I'm the guy for the team, and we definitely have other guys that can do that. But hey, motivation, especially from our fans who are doubting us, is as much motivation that we can get.
Yeah, I think Harvey, his heart's in the right place, right? So he's just concerned, and I guess if you're Harvey, this is probably like college sports has got to be very difficult for you having any optimism because every year there's a lot of turnover. So you're going to lose some leadership no matter what. What steps can you take proactively to comfort people like Harvey, to send good vibes out there? What are you doing to increase the vibes of the team?
I think everyone just needs to kind of take a chill, Phil, and just let the guys do what we've been doing. Obviously, Coach Stoops, since he's brought the program to where it is, we've been able to bring it to a new level, and we're just trying to increase that standard, and we're coming in every day to making sure that everything that we do is in line with that standard. So, I mean, it's worked so far, and I think as long as we just kind of keep working the way that we have been, then things are all going to work out.
So you guys have been, I mean, Kentucky's had a good couple years here in football. I'm just one small piece of advice just from something I gained earlier in this show. Have you considered talking to the grass at all? Just putting the vibes out there?
100%. And I think that playing on a lot of grass fields, we're turfed here at Kentucky, but we practice on grass, and I make sure to go out there, do my barefoot walks, and get in tune with the nature. And the grass is definitely something that I've been impressed in since I've been to Kentucky. You hear about the Kentucky bluegrass and how well everything's been kept, and it is nice to go out there and kind of talk to the ground and make sure that you're in line with your surroundings. And I do think that that's something I can implement more into my preparation routine.
I love it.
One thing we like to do when we host Kentucky Sports Radio every year is we like to just bash Louisville to ingratiate ourselves with Big Blue Nation. So this year you put up a 50-burger on Louisville. You had an incredible game. You had 4 rushing touchdowns, 14 for 18 passing, like pretty much a perfect game. Like they stink, right? Like we're going to roll over them again next year.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I mean, I know you guys like poking fun and trying to get people going with Coach Call and Calipari and all that.
What are you talking about?
Louisville. Yeah, exactly. But when I first got here, it's just funny when you're talking like from an outsider's perspective, it's always been Louisville, and it's like the one thing that someone from Louisville will always chomp at the bit at is to wait for a Yankee to come down here and pronounce it Louisville, and just to kind of stab you and say, hey, it's Louisville. And I've kind of taught myself to have that like gargle in the back of my throat whenever I'm pronouncing it, just to not piss them off. But yeah, it's a fun rivalry, and even though I've only been a part of it for this past year, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we have the same result this year as last year.
Yeah. So there you heard it. Bulletin board material. Will Levis is going to kick the. I almost swore there, but we're on radio. Kick the S out of Louisville.
Louisville, correct.
Yes, Louisville.
I love it. And so I'm reading about you here, Will. It says that you're a finance major. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So what does that mean for your day-to-day? Like that sounds like it's more of a challenging major than a lot of other football players have if they're going to go like an easy route. Because Billy also studied finance, Billy football. I'm sure you're familiar with his body of work, and you saw that how that negatively impacted his on the field performance in college. Are you concerned you're spending too much time in the classroom?
Yeah, I guess Billy and I are a lot more similar than I guess I'd have thought of. I mean, both being quarterbacks and both being finance majors, I call myself the D1 version of Billy. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, and Billy football, yeah.
But no, I mean, I got my undergrad at Penn State, got my finance degree in 3 years, doing my master's in finance as well here. And, yeah, I mean, just do whatever I can to do well in school, but don't know. My focus right now is playing ball as long as I can, but doing whatever I can to make sure that backup plan is in place. And in terms of just how I use it in my everyday life, I give my teammates some excellent investing advice. I find the cheapest kind of cryptocurrency I can find and just tell them to buy as much of it as possible. And it's always worked out except for a couple times, and got a couple gripes with some teammates at this point. But I'm not a personal financial advisor. I make that clear to them. So take all my advice with a grain of salt. But make a couple bucks for some people here and there. The least I can do.
Yeah. Hypothetically, and I'm not going to hold you to anything, but just hypothetically, if you were to say one really bad crypto coin that I should buy right now because it's dirt cheap, what would that be?
Oh, get back on the Shiba Inu train, man. I mean, it's last summer. I think it got some hype earlier this year, but it's always going to come back up. Stocks and crypto only goes up, as we all know. So if you buy now, you're gonna make a lot of money.
You are not a finance professional.
Yes, that is very true. All right, I have one last question. It's the Roback question. Go to rhoback.com. Use code TAKE for 20% off your first purchase. I just threw in the Roback question for you there, Will, to make it feel official. My last question is, how many years do you think Coach Sal should get extended for? That is the hot topic we've been discussing all show today.
So I heard you guys throw out the number. I think it was 18, right?
Yeah, 17 years, 10 years on top of his current 7.
Yeah, and I really like the logic, too, behind being able to recruit those 1-year-olds so that they know in 18 years' time they're ready to go. But, I mean, just being able to see what Coach Cal has done, I think that he deserves the largest contract in college basketball history, And I think 17 might not even be enough. I think if we get into the 20s and he's coaching well into his 70s, possibly even 80s, 90s, who knows? The success can only keep going, and I hope that they can keep him as long as possible. And I know that there's been some shortcomings in the last couple of years in terms of the fan standards. But, hey, if we can get 1 or 2 more championships in those next 35, 40 years, I think it could be awesome.
Here's what I think we should do. This is almost like a little human centipede action. We're going to create a website called extendcal.com, and that's going to basically be promoting the fact that Calipari is going to need at least 17 years to do the job at task. Well, and then what we're going to do is we're going to sign you, Will, to an NIL deal from extendsal.com, and then we're going to pay you to promote the website, and then we just go in a big circle, and everyone in Big Blue Nation wins. I think we just fixed Kentucky athletics.
It fixes the football team. It fixes the basketball team.
Everything.
Sure. One slight adjustment I'd like to make to the Extend Cal train that we've got going on here is, we keep talking about lifetime contract. Mm-hmm. That sounds a little morbid.
Yeah.
It's like you can't wait to fire the guy. It's almost like you can't wait till he dies.
Also,
why don't we give him a lifetime and afterlife contract where he's Ghost Cal is almost the head coach emeritus.
Well, it also assumes that Coach Calipari is going to die, and we don't know that for a fact. Maybe we.
I think,
yeah.
Maybe
Go ahead, Will.
Maybe keep it in the family. Maybe keep it in the family.
Brad.
Have Brad come in and have that guaranteed. And it's just, I think if we have the Calipari name here in Kentucky for the rest of history, then things can only go well.
Guys, we're brainstorming right now. I mean, what's the buzz in the news? It's the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Why don't we just make the Caliparis monarch at Kentucky?
They should be.
So no matter what, it stays in the family name forever, and we keep winning, draft picks, the NBA lottery. We keep doing all these big things that will keep Kentucky relevant. I like this. I think it's a monarchy.
They can start breeding corgis and selling those.
Yep.
I think that if you're going to select a king of Kentucky, you could do a lot worse than the Calipari family.
Right, exactly. So, Will, this has been fantastic. We appreciate it. Best of luck this season. Hopefully we'll see you at some point, and we got to have you back on before the draft, and we'll be rooting for you, man.
100%. Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for having me on. Go Cats.
All right, go Cats. Love it.
You said it.
All right, that was your starting quarterback, Will Levis. Awesome dude. Awesome dude.